This is the Capital One Venture X card. It has a $300 travel discount. This is a new change for 2024, and I'll tell you exactly what that means. Then, every year, just for being alive, you get 10,000 bonus miles. No catches here, you just get the miles. That will start on the first anniversary of you having the card. Layered on top of all of this is lounge access, which in my opinion, this card offers some better benefits than some of the fancier cards. Just with those three perks, you'll be ahead of the pack. But the name of the game for this card is the accumulation of miles. You get miles for everything, but they come in just slightly different quantities depending on what the purchase is. All the rewards credit cards work off points or miles, basically units. You spend money and you accumulate units. In our case, we're gonna call those units miles. Then you exchange those miles for things you want. Now, let's go to the butcher paper and get into the details. So you're gonna accumulate 2 miles per dollar spent on any purchase. Maybe you need a dozen more Mason Francis Kirchian Baccarat Rouge 540 candles. Who names these things? It's the minimalist option, 2 miles per dollar. Or maybe you see it's about to rain, and so obviously you need a T-Rex umbrella. Whatever you're into, it's 2 miles per dollar on just any. Then it will be 5 miles per dollar on flights booked through the Capital One website. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Also, 10 miles per dollar spent on hotels and rental cars booked through the website. On top of all this day-to-day spending, there's also a sign-up bonus. 75,000 miles if you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months. Now, look me in the eyes right now. If you cannot hit that spending threshold, then save this video for later, just walk away. You need to be able to hit that spending threshold to make this card worth it. Those 75,000 bonus miles are huge. We're gonna value that at about $750. I've seen it as high as $1,250, but we're gonna stay conservative, just call it an even $750. Since you're a responsible credit card owner, after the first 3 months, you hit that $4,000 in spending, which means that's at least 8,000 miles. Quick math tells us that 75,000 miles plus 8,000 miles is 83,000 miles sitting in your account ready to be cashed in for travel. Now these miles never expire. They're yours to keep forever unless you decide to close the account and then they vanish into thin air. Now we have tens of thousands of miles, but what do those mean unless we can turn them into things that we care about? They don't mean jack. We need to exchange those miles for something. In a minute, we'll take a look at the Capital One website so you can see how this actually works, but there's still one more set of miles that we get. As I mentioned at the beginning, starting on your 1-year anniversary, you'll get 10,000 miles every subsequent year. So that's about another, we'll be conservative, $100 towards travel each year. Not bad at all. Okay, so we have all these miles. Now what? I'm glad you asked. This is a travel card. It's not a cashback card. So we want to use all those miles towards travel. That's where we'll get the most value in return. On a side note, you'll always get the lowest value for your miles when you exchange them for cash. I'll show you that exact valuation in just a minute. But if Capital One makes it a nightmare to cash in all these miles, like, what's the point? Good news is they make it pretty easy. Let's dive right in and take a look. Just a heads up, every single time I log in the Capital One website, it asks for 2-factor authentication. So I get it, good security, that's important. And they make it pretty easy. It's either a text message, email, or you can do it right through the app. But 100% of the time, I'll tell you, it gets a little annoying. There's gotta be a better way, like just a fingerprint or some other way than a text message. I digress. Let's take a look at the website. So you just log in, you go to the rewards tab, it'll look something like this. Most common things are probably just book a trip or convert the rewards. So if we wanna book a trip, let's book a flight from Denver to London. And this is how it looks like. By the way, I mentioned 5x miles on flights when you pay for it with your credit card. So departures, and they give you this nice little color-coded situation to let you know prices of flights. March looks pretty nasty. April, I don't know, let's say Monday to a Monday in April. All right, and nice little color-coded thing here. They tell me that that is a fair price. You can freeze this price for up to 12 hours, and then you just come down and look at your options. Standard practice, I'll compare this against the actual airline's website, maybe do a Priceline or Kayak check as well. But if you use miles, that's no money out of your pocket. That's money you've already spent on things and gotten miles in return. So it's kind of free in a way if you compare that to actually spending money that's still in your pocket on a ticket. All in all, they make it pretty easy to book flights. If we go up here to benefits, we can see there's the 2x rewards, annual $300 credit, 10,000 miles every year, lounges, and so on and so forth. We're gonna touch on this global entry later. Hertz President Circle's nice if you rent cars, and just a bunch of other little benefits that add up. In addition to booking trips with miles, you can convert those miles to other loyalty programs. And it looks something like this. Some of these miles are kind of one-to-one, some of them are half, some of them are somewhere in between. So let's go back and let me quickly show you why this is not a good cash back card. It's a travel card. The valuation for getting cash back with miles, it's atrocious. Redeem for cash. I don't know who's mailing checks to their address. We'll just say credit this card with cash. The amount of points I have right now is equal to that for simple math. Let's go 100, I keep saying points, I mean miles. 50 cents, not good. What I just showed you is how you get free trips from your everyday spending. You want to talk more perks? Then there's the $300 travel discount that I mentioned, formerly known as the $300 credit. This is a small devaluation from the credit because the discount gets applied to the purchase price. So you don't get miles for that $300 that you spent. It means you'll miss out on roughly 30 bucks in travel spending. It's not the biggest loss, but I don't want you to feel misinformed. You don't need to submit a receipt. It's completely transparent to the user. I've booked hotels and flights through the website and it's instantaneous. I just hit book, apply the discount, and I'm off. At some point during the year, you take a trip that you book through the website. That's a little point of friction. So other credit cards, you can use their travel credit anywhere. I used to have the Chase Sapphire Reserve until they upped the fee, and Airbnbs, VRBO, whatever, booking travel direct with the airline, Ubers, any type of travel related expense that I paid for with my Chase Sapphire Reserve, instant credit. With Capital One Venture X, it's not like that. It's only when you book through the website. So it's a trade-off. The Venture X is a little more restrictive in that way, but you're not paying as high of a yearly fee either. So there's a balancing, whatever best suits your travel preferences. And finally, with the $300 discount, it's not a rollover discount. So you gotta use it. If you don't use it 1 year, it's gone, but you do get the discount the following year. Now real quick, back to the 10,000 bonus miles that you get starting at your 1 year anniversary. Those are yours to keep. There's no strings attached. You just get them. If you don't use them 1 year, next year you get the previous year's and the new year's miles. $100 towards global entry or TSA Pre-check. If you travel internationally regularly, global entry's amazing. I've literally saved hours, maybe days of my life just breezing through customs. It really does make life better. It's kind of a pain to set up. There's an online form you have to submit, and then you have to schedule an interview with Customs and Border Protection. Pro tip, global entry only applies when you travel back to the United States. When you're outbound international, it doesn't do anything. And that's not the tip. The tip is, if possible, don't check a bag when you're returning to the States. You can avoid checking a bag. What's gonna happen is if you do check a bag, you're gonna breeze through customs. So easy. You get to the other side and you're gonna spend the next hour or more waiting for your bag to filter on through. Just food for thought. Now, if global entry isn't your jam, use it for TSA Pre-check. Is it me or is that TSA Pre line sometimes longer than the normal line? So that's all gravy. In my opinion, it gets a little bit better because I think the biggest perk of this card for a regular traveler is the access to all the lounges. There's the complimentary Priority Pass membership that gives you access to about 1,400 or so lounges around the world. Now, so it's a little more quantifiable. Let's put a quick conservative valuation on the lounge benefits. We won't even factor in the entry fee, which can range from 50 to 100 or more, depending on the lounge. If the average cost of a proper airport meal is somewhere between 20 to 40 bucks per person, we'll just call it 30. So if you take 2 trips per year, that's a possibility to eat 4 airport meals for free at the lounge rather than paying that 30 bucks a pop. So we'll conservatively value lounge access through Capital One Venture X at 120 bucks. This is where I think Venture X starts to shine a little bit more than some of the other cards, is that you can bring in 2 guests for free with yourself as the card holder. Not bad. Don't get me wrong, those other more expensive credit cards have great lounge benefits as well. All I'm saying is that for the lower annual fee of this credit card, with the authorized users and their lounge access plus guests, it's a pretty phenomenal deal. And you don't have to like designate a guest, like this is gonna be my guest this year. It could be anybody, different person every time. Just grab a couple of strangers waiting out the gate and bring them in. Just kidding, that's weird. Speaking of guests, wait till I tell you about the authorized user situation and the perks that come with that. Okay, can't contain myself, I'll tell you right now. You get up to 4 authorized users for free. And in doing that, the whole lounge situation gets even better. And the points accumulate exponentially. They all get put into the same pot. It's fantastic. So we'll hit the finer points there, but let's wrap up these other perks first. And finally, we're not attaching a monetary value to this, but the Hertz Presidential Circle is one of the perks that come with the card. What the authorized users do not get are the $300 travel discounts, 10,000 points every year, nor do they get the $100 towards global entry or TSA Pre. What they do get is all the same miles accumulation, the 2x, 5x, 10x. They get the Hertz Presidential Circle and the lounge access. So if you're traveling with your authorized user, between the 2 of you, you can bring a total of 4 people into the lounge for free. Again, on your way to the lounge, just swing by a gate and save some airport travelers from having to wait at the gate. If it's you traveling with all 4 of your authorized users, you could round up like 10 airport rescues, bring them into the lounge and just go to town on all the free food and drinks. Back on track. This video is not sponsored. In full disclosure, as you saw, I do have the card, but do what's best for your lifestyle. Get the card, don't get the card, get a different card. Just think of this video as a way to make a more well-informed decision, which if you found this video even a little bit helpful and it's not too much trouble, clicking that thumbs up would really help out this small channel. I appreciate it. So those are the bennies, the big ones anyways, but next we need to decide if it's worth it. The bottom line here is if you cannot recoup the cost of that annual fee in benefits from the card, just walk away slowly. The biggest thing to note is that hefty annual fee. Other cards have bigger annual fees, but 395 bucks a year is nothing to scoff at. So let's compare the benefits of the card to the cost of the card. Back to the butcher paper. In that first year, after you hit that spending threshold, you'll get 750 bucks from the sign-up bonus, $300 towards a travel credit, $100 off global entry or TSA Pre, and 120 bucks in lounge access benefits. That's a grand total of 1,270 bucks. So when we subtract the annual fee of $395 from that, we're left with a surplus of 875 bucks. Not bad, but let's see what it's like the next year. So beginning your second year, you'll get another $300 travel discount. You'll get 10,000 miles and you get the lounge access valued at 120. So that's a total of 520 in benefits. Let's subtract the 395 from that and we're left with 125 in surplus. So all these numbers are super conservative, yet we still come out ahead. So if you're traveling even semi-regularly, you'll more than make up for the cost of the card. If we decide we want those benefits and the cost is worth it, how do we get one of these? Well, there are 2 important criteria that you need to meet. But first you need to ask yourself this: am I going to be traveling, flying, more than a couple times a year? the answer is yes, and you're going to be flying 3 or more times a year, pass go, collect $200, you will recoup those fees of the card in benefits. If the answer is yes, but you're only taking 2 trips a year and no more, that's a close call. Think about if these trips are international or if they're just to a neighboring state. That might be the determining factor. So the 2 important criteria are this. 1, you need good credit. We're talking 740 or above. And the second criteria is Capital One has a 1 per 6 rule. So you can only apply to 1 credit card every 6 months. So if it's been 7 months since you last applied for a Capital One credit card, go for it. Now, if you're in the mood for even more travel tips or how to spend your money more wisely, check out one of these videos. I'd click it quick because it'll be lights out here in about 3, 2, 1.